If you're anything like me, which is a big zombie fanboy, then anytime you hear a new zombie game coming out, you have mixed emotions. Primarily if it's an open world zombie survival sandbox game. On one hand, you're extremely excited because you like the idea of surviving a zombie apocalypse and because you're a fan of zombies. And on the other hand, you're like, oh god, here we go again. Better not get my hopes up. Well, we have a new game on the horizon called Dead Matter that has me feeling these mixed emotions all over again. So I'm going to introduce you to Dead Matter, tell you a bit about it, and tell you why I'm super excited and why I'm nervous to be excited. Dead Matter. What is it? Dead Matter is an open-world zombie survival sandbox game being developed by QI Software. It's based on Alberta, Canada, 2 weeks after the outbreak and heavily focuses on PvE elements for survival. The game is also going to be multiplayer, so there is going to be PvP in the game as well. As of right now, it's still being developed and closed alpha is expected to be available for backers in the summer of 2019. But what Dead Matter is trying to do is what sets themselves apart from other open-world zombie survival sandbox games out there. Survival sandbox games have been known to have some pretty ugly releases. From almost being completely unplayable to gigantic buggy messes. The latest trend in gaming right now is to just release it and fix it later. Not Dead Matter though. Dead Matter has gone on record saying, "We refuse to allow Dead Matter to become another game that fades into obscurity because of a premature alpha early access release. There are an abundance of games that have released too early and suffered greatly. Some games even being received so poorly that development has ceased altogether. We must ensure that our release goes smoothly even if it involves having our backers waiting for just a little bit longer." The longevity of Dead Matter relies heavily on the first impression that the community outside of Discord sees. A delayed game is eventually good, but a rush game is forever bad. This right here alone shows that they actually care about this game, the community involved, and aren't doing it for that quick money grab. It's refreshing to say the least. But what about this game specifically has me excited? Dead Matter is an open world zombie survival sandbox game, so that means it has 3 main points to it. Open world, zombie, and survival sandbox. So let's take a look at the world that Dead Matter is trying to create for us. Dead Matter's map size is going to be 400 kilometers square, which is almost 4 times the size of Grand Theft Auto 5's map. It's going to start at 25 kilometers square during closed alpha and gradually increase to 400 kilometers squared by full release. Normally this bothers me because yeah, it means there's a giant map, but there's not a whole lot inside of it. But from the look of the devlogs, there's going to be fully fleshed out cities, towns, neighborhoods, and forests. An open world game with a large but empty map can feel a lot smaller than a small but fully fleshed out map. That's why the attention to detail is so important, and it doesn't look like Dead Matter's pulling back any punches. The police station is one of my favorite examples. You can see debris on the floor, plant decor, waiting chairs, posters, vending machines, fire extinguishers, offices with desks, chairs, computers, lamps, boxes, printers, cells, garages with vehicles, an armory, evidence locker, and even a basement level. When it comes to an open world, immersion is almost everything. The small details like a pallet jack, hydraulic lifts, shelves, boxes, crates, semi-trailers, and a company van breathes life into a warehouse garage. If the world you are playing in feels alive, you'll more easily immerse yourself and live in the game. And from the looks of it, Dead Matter has this in mind, going as far as to add newspapers into the game that players are able to read, and piece together the events that led up to the outbreak. Now that's attention to detail. Zombies are the next main focus. A big argument that has been cycling around the internet is that zombie games are oversaturated. And this is somewhat true for a few reasons. Some are better at being survival simulators than a zombie game, and some are just bad zombie games altogether. But there is a loophole in this argument because no one complains about a game being a zombie game if it's a good zombie game. The Last of Us, Dying Light, and Left 4 Dead are just a few examples. These were games that are being marketed as zombie games, so they put a huge focus on the main selling point, the zombies. How you interacted with them, fought them, encountered them. It was heavily thought out and poses a big threat in the game. Dead Matter has gone on record saying they're taking a lot of inspiration from Left 4 Dead, and for good reasons. When zombies are plentiful and pose an actual threat, it subconsciously encourages the players to work together. What they are trying to do is subvert players from just killing other players on sight and trying to get them to work together. Now you'll still be able to kill other players if that's what you choose to do, but you're going to think twice about it when you know that the sound of a gunshot will attract a huge horde of zombies. This is the experience that Dead Matter is after. The zombies aren't just sprinkled in here and there, they're everywhere. And their zombies aren't just walkers either, they have a quick jogging pace and they spawn in varying amounts depending on where you are on the map. Zombies will spawn in relative amounts to the population densities that would exist in certain areas like in real life, meaning cities and towns will have more zombies than rural and forest areas, making scavenging and plentiful looting areas like towns a much more difficult task. ask. Since Dead Matter is taking a lot of inspiration from Left 4 Dead, a big question is, will there be varying different types of zombies? The answer is yes, but not mutated zombies. There won't be tanks, spitters, boomers, or hunters because it wouldn't fit the theme of realism. But there will be different zombies in a more grounded way, like construction workers wearing protective helmets, soldiers wearing military gear, and Nero soldiers wearing hazmat suits. This is something I can easily get behind. Lately, I felt like games have been adding mutated zombies to it because their normal zombies just don't feel challenging enough. So hearing that Dead Matter is making their zombies pose an actual real threat and intelligently utilizing them is just making me that much more eager to play this game. We have the open world covered, the zombies covered, now let's talk about survival sandbox. Survival elements are handled differently in every game. Some games are as simple as just needing to eat and drink to survive, while some games are so in-depth that you have to keep track of your nutritional value of the things you eat to survive. So where does Dead Matter fall in this spectrum? From the image we see here, Dead Matter will have a nutritional chart, but they're utilizing it in a different way than other games. What they're doing is they're making it so there's no penalty for ignoring your macronutrient or vitamin intake so long as you don't starve or dehydrate yourself. Instead, they reward the player with benefits. It's unknown what those are exactly right now, but I'm assuming it goes along the lines of slower decrease in hunger, thirst, a slower bleed out time, quicker healing, and probably a stamina boost or something like that. I personally think this is a good idea because it doesn't overwhelm new or casual players but still appeases to the hardcore survival fans. They also have what's known as limb health, so things like bleeding out is going to affect you differently than say a broken bone. Only bleeding is going to truly affect how close you are to dying, but something like a broken hand isn't going to. It will, however, significantly increase the time it takes to reload and pick things up. From what I'm gathering, it sounds like Dead Matter is trying to create an in-depth health system, but deliver it in a simple to understand way. There is also some character customization where you can select your hair color, eye color, gender, face, and body details. But something you'll also be able to do is pick your former occupation and traits, which will give you some bonuses depending on what you pick. I would go into more detail, but I got word from the developers that they're planning on changing and removing some of the occupations, so I don't want to give you any wrong or false information on that. Dead Matter is still planning on having occupations and traits though, they just don't know exactly what those are going to be yet. In case the developers are watching this, I think depending on what occupation you pick would determine the clothes you spawn in. Like spawning in as a mechanic would give you coveralls, or spawning in as a doctor would give you scrubs. I don't know, just thought that would be cool. It would also create some interesting role-playing ideas, just an idea though. So you have your character, picked an occupation, selected your trait. Now what? Well, now you'll be up to that oh so familiar grind, looting. Dead Matter has tons of lootable items, weapons, and more. So much more that I'm actually going to include the list to the Masterlist that you can find in the description. And on here you'll find everything from the vehicles, the weapons, guns, base modifications, and much, much more. So the link to that is going to be in the description below, so go check that out. And with the abundance of things to loot, you're going to need a place to call home. A big question is, will Dead Matter have base building? The answer is kind of, so let me explain. Dead Matter is going for realism, so it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense to be building out in the middle of nowhere with rocks and stone that you picked up when you have professionally built structures before all hell broke loose. Instead, they opted for a system that is known as claiming. The workings of claiming is still unknown, but the concept is still the same. Find a building and claim it. Once claimed, you can fortify your base with planks on the windows, barricade, traps, alarms, and other things that you can gather in the world. So while base building isn't going to be a thing, base fortification is. Now I understand that some people are going to want free-form base building, that they're going to want to go out into the middle of nowhere and build their own genital-shaped fortress. I can understand why people want that. I can also understand why Dead Matter does not want that. Dead Matter is making an intelligent move on this because freeform base building doesn't really fit the theme if they're going for realism. I really try not to get my hopes up when it comes to games in this genre, but it is just so damn hard, especially when I find out that they're going to be having season cycles in the game. It's not going to be integrated in the closed alpha and probably won't be something that we'll see until the full game release, but still, we'll be potentially experiencing 4 season cycles in the game. Season cycles is hands down one of the top 3 reasons I'm excited to play this game, and also going to be the reason I'm going to try and convince my friends to buy this game. It's no secret at this point that I am extremely excited for this game. And that freaks me out because time and time again, games in this genre have just let me down. They either feel like a running simulator, give no ways for players to interact with each other except kill on sight, have a trivial scaffolding stage and endgame stage that only reinforces kill on sight, they stay in alpha for 5 or more years, or don't give a sense of purpose to the player. I've directly spoken to some of the developers of Dead Matter, so it definitely put my mind at ease. And I wouldn't sit here and try and recommend this game if I didn't feel like it lived up to the expectations I have for a game. Plus, they are always answering questions, taking suggestions, and that just speaks volumes about what kind of developers they are, which is just amazing. Amazing people. So if you want closed alpha, which is expected to drop in the summer of 2019, I'll be putting a link down in the description to the Indiegogo page. Obviously, backing the game is a huge help to the developers and much appreciated, but so is leaving your ideas and suggestions down. In fact, they strongly encourage it over on their Discord. I'm also on there all the time too, so come say hi to me. I also want to make a video talking about my ideas I have for this game, so if that is something you would like to see, why don't you leave a comment down below and also tell me some of your ideas and suggestions you have for Dead Matter. All the links are in the description down below. Come join me on their Discord, and thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.